Hey everybody, happy Sunday evening. I believe this is week 15 with the transcribers, and we're talking about support and networking. Also, I hope you enjoyed my new little intro. Those are some pictures of Todd and I. Maybe one day I'll get to the point where I can put music to it. But anyway, like I said, this week we're talking about support and networking. The first question is, where do I, as a significant other, go for support and networking? Firstly, I want to say here, YouTube. As I've mentioned multiple times in other videos I've made on this channel as well as my personal channel, YouTube was a huge part in Todd's coming out for both he and myself. We both went to it for information, for networking, for support. We have found friendship, as well as a lot of information through different collab channels, as well as just different people's personal channels here on YouTube. I don't really have a support group. There's not like one in the area that we go to or anything. And as far as my family being supportive, my parents know about Todd. My extended family does not. And my parents are supportive, as are our friends. The majority of them, the ones we still talk to anyway. And we do have a married couple here in town that we're really good friends with that I feel like I can talk to and are 100% supportive, like beyond accepting, and to the point where I could talk to them about it if I needed to. As far as our other friends, I'm sure there are a couple that I could talk to it in depth, but I think the rest of them, while being supportive, it still might make uncomfortable for me to talk about it at length. Also, with that being said, just because of my life circumstances and experiences up until this point, I am someone who is very self-reliant. As emotive and communicative as I am and wanting to talk about things, I also know that I may need to be the strong one. And I don't mean for Todd, but I mean for myself, that I can only rely on myself, and so I depend on myself, and I talk myself through things. So that's just kind of my reality. Do I participate in any online communities or forums as a form of support, and if so, which? Obviously, I'm here. I'm a member of the Transcribers, and these girls are a great support network. Of course, I watched a lot of the teammate videos as well, but I don't really participate in any forums. I know there's some things like the women's room, and I personally don't participate in any of those other things, and not that I'm against it, I just don't really. As far as where does Todd go for support, and does he come to me? He said as much as he goes anywhere for support, he does come to me. I try and always be a positive voice in his head and in his life, reaffirming and just being supportive, being someone who'll try and listen. And I do tend to be, apologize for all the ums, I do tend to be someone who likes to point out, at least for other people, it's a lot easier to point out the silver lining or what's positive. Focus on the positive, don't dwell on the negative, those kinds of things. And I think he's kind of in the same boat as far as family and friends, though his mother, I think he does get to talk to sometimes because she is pretty supportive, as well as his stepsister. At the same time, he's someone who, for years, has been someone who internalized his issues. So he's not someone who usually seeks out support. He's often said that because of me and our relationship and us being together for so long, he talks a lot more now about things than he ever used to. Because I always used to say, talk to me, tell me what's going on. He does. I think he's probably more active online than I am. He is a member of the T Guys. I know that he watches Mightier Men. I know that he looked to that, and he's found a lot of support online. I think he's a part of a couple of Yahoo groups regarding surgery and bottom surgery. I think one specifically about metoidioplasty. But he is very eager to seek out information online. So, and he said maybe not even as much as support, but sometimes I think just finding information and other people who have that information is supportive in and of itself. I guess as far as, kind of like we mentioned earlier, supporting Todd in his trans identity and his transition, as you've probably also heard in some of the videos, to begin with, especially in the past, before he came out even really, I kind of had an idea that this was, a skeleton in his closet as he saw it then, because he always said there was something he just couldn't talk about. And knowing him for about 3 years as it was at that point, and I just kind of had a feeling this was it. We'd kind of beaten around the bush a little, and he just never could say it. So in that regards, I tried to be as supportive as I can without saying, look, I know this is what's going on. So I just tried to encourage him and tell him, that if that was what was going on, then he needed to get it out in the open and be happy with himself, and that nothing was worth being miserable, and, that I would be here to support him, at least as a friend, if nothing else, through this transition. So I have just tried to always kind of be the voice of, you've got to do what you need to do to make yourself happy, regardless of, how scary that may be, as it was at the time. Now, as far as currently going through his transition, I hope I'm his #1 cheerleader. I totally, try and tell him that, or reaffirm to him that this is great, and look at all these wonderful changes, and I'm so proud of you, and you're so brave, and all those things that are very true, because it's hard. I mean, this has got to be something hard to feel like you're going through alone, and I don't mean without a significant other, I just mean, without support. So since I'm his everyday face-to-face contact, I definitely try and always be affirmative about what he's doing, and let him know that I am here for him, as are others. I know that as far as him supporting me, like I said, we're not real good at saying I need support. It may be that it comes out because one of us acts out because maybe we're feeling like we need support. But I think in that regards, like the other day, we were both just kind of being assholes, and but I had a bad day, and so I came home not in a good mood, and that set him off that I wasn't in a good mood, and so then he was being mean back to me, and we just kind of had it out. But at the same time, while we may not have been so constructive about getting it out there, once we kind of got it out there, then we both kind of realized, hey, I'm sorry. Let me not be an asshole about this. Let's talk about it. What can I do for you? What's going on with you? What's in your head? Where's this coming from? What's the bigger picture? What can I do to help? So I think if we were better about asking for support, we might be better giving it directly. But we are definitely each other's support. He has been my support for 5 years, and that hasn't changed because of his transition. He is my biggest cheerleader, and like I said, I hope I'm his. One of the questions on here say that some people think it's better for a trans guy to go through their transition single. As far as how we feel about it, I talked to Todd about this, and he thinks that our relationship was critical for his circumstance in coming out and going through this. That, in fact, one of the I don't know, I guess it was half and half. Like, one of the reasons he was scared to come out is because he was afraid he was going to lose me, and he didn't think he could do it without me. But I, when he was coming out, told him that he needed to be ready to do this in spite of me. Well, not necessarily in spite of me, but even without me. Like, if for whatever reason I had just, tuck tail and run, he still needed to be ready to do this because it's about his personal happiness. It's not about me or our relationship. But at the same time, again, in our personal circumstances, I think it's great for him that we have each other. Now, that's not to say that you can't go through transition by yourself. I think this is something that just depends on your circumstances and how you feel and what you need. But I think it can be done either way. I think if you're in a relationship, before you come out, that you can make it through. Some things are just meant to be, some things aren't, and some things are meant to be worked through, and you have to be willing to give it the work as well. So I think it's just an opinion kind of thing. It just really depends on your situation. But I think it can be done single or with a partner. And I personally think that, if you have a partner who is still with you when you come out, then it's certainly a good environment to go through a transition, because as I've mentioned, you have an everyday point of contact who is supportive for you. And I think that it never hurts to have support, be it just in life or going through a transition. So that's kind of how I feel about that situation. I hope you guys have a great week. Support networking. I hope that we as transcribers are here for you for that. So if you have any questions or need anything, don't hesitate to email our channel, and all of us ladies will try and get back to you. I know that I even went to them this week for some support of my own, and I'm appreciative to all of them. So again, hope you have a great week, and I hope we're here for you.